Parsons. Rob, there is growing international pressure to find out exactly what happened. The U.S. has now endorsed an investigation by the European Union into the circumstances of his illness. Is there any doubt at this point that Navalny wasn't poisoned?
Well, I think there has to be a small element of doubt, at least. What the Germans are saying is that probably he was poisoned. What the hospital is saying more precisely is that the clinical evidence suggests intoxication through a substance belonging to the group of cholinesterase inhibitors. Now, sometimes those cholinesterase inhibitors can be used for medical treatment, like with Alzheimer's, but they can also be used as a nudge agent. And they're saying the evidence suggests which is about as far as they can go without actually saying that he was poisoned. Angela Merkel, who is not a person who's given to exaggeration or to overstatement, has called for an investigation by the Russian authorities. That's pretty much her saying, we know that he was poisoned. We want you to sort this out now. The Russians, for their part, have been categorical, as you said in your headline. Got absolutely nothing to do with them, no connection whatsoever, no poisoning, and there will be no investigation. Now, as I've been suggesting, there is a possibility that Mr. Navalny wasn't poisoned. The problem for the Russians is there have been so many cases like this, cases of assassination, of poisoning, of shooting, of defenestration. Most recently in Germany, just last year, Selim Khan Hangashvili, a Georgian citizen, Chechen origin, gunned down in a central park in Berlin by a Russian assassin. The Germans are pretty clear about who did it. The Russians are in complete denial. Boris Nemtsov, a few years ago, senior Russian politician, opponent of Vladimir Putin, gunned down outside the Kremlin walls, blanket denial. Anna Politkovskaya, same, critic of the Kremlin, blanket denial after she was shot dead. Vladimir Kara-Murza, senior Russian politician, opponent of Vladimir Putin, poisoned, blanket denial. The list goes on and on and on, to the point where any credibility that the Kremlin might have in denying cases like Mr. Navalny's is so threadbare as to hardly be worth considering.
Now, all of this, of course, has brought into question the issue of what sort of relations Germany, or more broadly Europe, should have with Putin's Russia. Interestingly, many people arguing for improved relations between the two neighbors.
Yeah, I mean, that's right. And particularly, I would say, in Germany. Germany has a lot of trade with Russia. For many businessmen in particular, it's important that relations should get better. They're dismayed by the fact that relations have been plunging downhill over the last few years. They would like to see them improve. They would like to see sanctions lifted. Many German politicians as well. Germany has really gone out on a limb on the pipeline being almost complete now from Russia through to Germany. They're bringing masses of Russian gas and increase the dependency of Germany in particular on Russian energy, has gone out on a limb on really pressing for that. But the question really that has to be answered, I think, is what was the purpose of the sanctions? The purpose of the sanctions was to elicit better behavior from the Russians. Has there been any better behavior? The evidence really has to be that there has not been. Russia still occupies 20% of Georgian territory. Russia still occupies Crimea. Russia still sends men and political support to separatists in the eastern Ukraine. Russia still is doing everything in its power, it would seem, to undermine Western democracies. So given all that, and given the current problems, for instance, with Belarus, you would say that really there's not a very strong case for improving relations with Russia.
Rob, thank you for that. That's France 24's chief foreign editor, Robert Parsons.